Hello everyone, welcome to this new video. In this one we're going to take a look at how to make eyeball textures in Substance Designer. And before we get into these details, I just want to show you guys this final result in Marmoset 2 bag. So basically we are not really making a material this time, we're just making these textures. So and also I will talk about how this height map and normal map work in this one. So back in Designer, I started with this circular shape. So in this pattern, I just using the bell and I just squash it a little bit and to make it like that. And I want to have a bit of a directional blur here. So I just move the shape to one side a little bit and I did an invert. And I just use this non-uniform blur to combine these two together to create this sort of motional and then I just reposition that, and then to make this more organic, I just add a warp with this purling noise, and here you see there's another one, and then I just rotate these two shapes, and here you can see actually I have another one here, so I got three different patterns. And as you can see, now all I'm doing is just using transformation 2D node to blend each one of them to make this shape interesting. So this is all blend until this one. Yeah, I just use this save transformation node to reposition this to the center. And then once I get this shape, I just add a fur node, and I use the histogram range and the purling noise, add them all into this warp node to get something like that, and just blend this together to create a pattern like this. Once I have this shape, just put this in a splatter circular node. Just play around with these parameters and you will finally get a shape like this. And then let's take a look at the second circular pattern I did. This one is the one inside, and the second one I'm making here is the outside. And again, I start by using this basic shape, just using the bell. Because this shape is more solid, so I just use this histogram scan to make the shape more obvious, because this edge has a lot of noise. So I just add this purling noise again by creating three different circular shape. Like, so first one's like that, this is the second one, this is the third one, and then again I just blend them together to make this the outline a bit more complicated. And also here I did another three. This is for the small shape, and I just use splatter circular to create more small shapes and blend them together to get something like that. Oh yeah, this is the final one. And then I just use histogram scan to make the shape solid and blur that out a little bit to create a bit of depth. And then here I just add a bit more bevel and put into histogram scan, because I want to create this sort of dark edge value here. So I use this high pass grayscale. So after I got these two patterns, which I'll be blend them all together later, and then I just start making this iris mask. So here is why I'm using this model here instead of any model from the scene, because I need to make sure the texture that I'm making match the UV of my model for render. So I start with this bell shape again, and I adjust this scale to make sure it match this circle here. And then basically these are just masks. Oh yeah, so here I'm making this base black shape here, this pupil. So I use this I blend this blurred circle with this original shape to have this one, and then I just add a white base color with a mask, so I can have a shape like this. Okay, so once I have this shape, so I just add another histogram range and add the white background with a mask from here. So this time this color is a lot darker, and then as you can see, I blend the second circular pattern, which comes from right here. Oh, actually this is the third one. Oh yeah, so this pattern I made just for this. So you see, this is the first circular pattern, this is the second one, and this is the third one, which sort of making this dark outline here. So use exactly the same technique. Use the polynoise and the warp to get a shape like this, and then I just add a little bit of distance and blur that distance to have a blurred shape here, and just drag this all the way up here to make this outline. So basically blend this darker color with this color. So I'm using this as a mask to mask out this one, to have this mask and this one, and blend them together like that. So after I got this shape, and I use this one as a white base, and add a mask and make a blend like that. So if you look at this pattern here, it seems like they all overlay to each other. So what I did is using this pattern as a mask and blend them together to get rid of some of the details on the outside. And then I just used a color node, used a color picker to make sure these patterns in the background are exactly the same, because I need to make sure this this shape match the model here. So I just use this transformation 2D and size this down a little bit, and using an extra blur color just to make sure there's no artifact around here. So the next step is to create this this sort of vein looking pattern. In this group, I'm using a break shape. Here I'm using a bevel to get some value here, and blur that a little bit more and blend them together. And then I'm just using directional blur and a polynoise to make this shape like that. And then I just add another warp to randomize the shape even more. And I use the blend with blend this shape with a polynoise to give a bit of stronger value here. And then I just blurred this shape a little bit. As you can see, I just duplicate this group to the bottom and did exactly the same thing. All I changed was this random seed. So I just have this different pattern, and once I have them, I just put them in the splatter circular, and as you can see, it looks like that. And then I just duplicate that circular node and made another one. Blend these two together so it looks more random and organic, and blend that even more with this. So this is actually a mask as well. So I'm using a curve. So you can see I'm using this curve to control the size of the mask. Sorry, like that. Just so that I can have a bit of control of how much I want to show these details. And then basically I blend this mask with this one here. And I use the transformation 2D, make the pattern smaller. First of all, I blend this pattern, this macro detail pattern, with this one here. You can hardly notice the change, but it is there. I just duplicate this blend here on the top, and I did a rotation and blur that out even more. and blend this with this iris outline here, which comes from here. And also I add the mask for that as well, just so this detail doesn't go out of this shape. And then I blend this shape with this one, so now you can see using the multiple. And also you can control how strong you want this outline to look like. And here, okay, so these are the color groups which we will talk about later. And I added this vein shapes, which is for these details on the back. It's not that important because once you put this in a character, well, you're not really gonna see it because it's all covered. But it's still nice to be there. You do need this little tiny veins around here as well, just to make sure it looks real. To start, I'm just using the tail generator, and the pattern input is from this one I made here and this one. And then I just using the blend with this mask here. I did the same, so you can see everything outside of this circle is gone. And then use the splatter circular again and blend them together. Looks quite random now. And add the mask from here. And then I did a bit of bevel to kill some extra details and blurred everything, which you can see I'm using this a lot on the height map blend, normal map blend, and definitely in my color as well. And so after I've done that, which is okay, so this is another noise, which is quite straightforward, just using Unported noise and this spots noise, just to create this extra bump details on the outside. It's not that obvious in this 3D view here, but you will definitely see this in the final render. And I just use the histogram to balance the color and use the blur. And again, use the mask to mask out this area. And then I just add this into this normal node. And this normal node is from, it's from here. So it's just add some extra bump information for the area that's inside. And then, okay, so here, this blend is from this final iris blend with this vein shape here. And I just did a little bit extra tiny small veins at the front. So this is just using the scratch generator, which is quite handy because the shape already looks like what I want. All I did was just change the numbers and play with the scale, and then randomize the rotation, and I blurred that out, add to the front, and then put this straight into a normal node to get this effect. And where this one goes? Oh yeah, this is basically everything I need to create textures for this eyeball. So from here, this is for the roughness. So I just invert this one, add the level to it, put this straight into the roughness output. You're not gonna see much. I mean, you're not gonna get a lot from this because we're gonna have this cornea layer outside for the glossiness. But I mean, it's there. Because if you make this very glossy, then your eyeball is not going to look real. And from, okay, so here I'm just adding, to make this pattern stronger, I always like to add this ambient occlusion for it. So you can see I'm adding this vein details and this circular pattern, the blend circular pattern together. Like that, add straight to the ambient occlusion. If I just add a uniform color here, Set this to white. Instead of using this, if I just add this in, so see a lot of details are gone. It's just with this bit of shading here, it's just to make this pattern looks a lot nicer. And then here's the specular shape. This shape is to make these areas a little bit shiny. You want to have some areas that's a bit of lighter than the others, and to have this specular texture, it gives you really good control to have which area you want to be glossy, which area you want to be sort of rough. That's why I add this to it, which you can find. So see in this texture, all these little shiny lines, they are from these specular textures. So it's really good to have extra textures for extra control. So we have talked about the specular, ambient occlusion, and roughness, and here's the height map here. So this one is straight from this circular pattern, this shape here, because this is the mask that covered this area. So I just invert that and use this as a height map. You're not going to see much in this 3D view because, like I said, we are making textures, not material. So, but inside this render, you can see this height map is added into this shader. If I turn this off, this depth off, and you can see from the side view, it's not look realistic. And if I turn this on, this is to sort of control the depth of this pattern, which it gives you a quite realistic look. And back in here, we're gonna talk about this normal map. I actually baked it by using these models. I'm gonna show you this model in my Maya file first. So inside Maya, I have this cornea low poly and iris. Just turn on the X-ray. Yeah, so this iris low poly, just same as this cornea, it's just slightly smaller, and I just add, just using this iris high poly. So bake this high poly information on this iris low poly to have that normal map I just showed you. And back in here, so basically what I did is, so if you want to bake this poly, if you want to bake this model, so just right click and just click bake model information, and here you can add your high poly model at this area, and then you want to change this distance to, because the default number is 0.01, because the surface is actually quite different, so you want to change this to 0.1 just so you can get enough information, and then just hit bake, and then you will have this map, and just drag this to here, which is this one, and I blend this normal information with that to get this final normal texture. And okay, finally is this color map. So I started with the stuff at the back, so I'm using this second circular pattern as the mask, and I blurred that and did an invert and add this into a gradient map to have this base red color, and then I just added some point noise and add some more color variation, because I feel like it's always time consuming when I use this pick gradient, because I don't get this color right in one go. Sometimes I can try like 20 times, which is time consuming. So I always use this HSL to sort of control the color saturation and lightness, to save some time, and then I blend these together with this vein shape here. So this is the final blend, as you can see. And then this iris color again, just delete that. And again, I'm just using all these blend nodes, and edit into the gradient map nodes. So here is the pattern from the inside. This is the iris outline, and there's some extra color details, and the final blend is like that. And here I got this base color, which is for everything which is to fill everything inside and other areas that's sort of with no alpha information. So here is the base color here, and again I'm using another noise, cloud noise, and use this curve to have sort of a mask from this node, and then I just used blend to have like a pattern like this, and I just put this straight into the gradient map. So click that, you just get rid of this color because you don't want everything that's outside. And then I just blend everything together. Blend this base color with this one, and then edit into this final blend here, which is that one. And I just did some extra texture here. So this is the specular texture for the cornea, which is the stuff that you see on the outside, because basically this is the specular map from this one. So if I turn down the intensity, as you can see, all the specular information left is from the stuff that's inside. And if I just turn this on, and you can start to see some more glossiness on the surface now. And also here's another map, which is the normal map. This is the cornea normal map, and I did the same thing and just used this cornea high poly again to bake that information into this model and to have a texture map like that, and so you can see a bit of information inside. And I blend this normal map with some noise, which is from this noise and from the vein shape. So the final cornea normal map is something like this. So this is everything for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from this one. And if you like this video, please consider subscribe my channel, and I will see you in the next one.